Today, we're going to talk about diagonal pliers. Diagonal pliers can also be known as wire cutters, cutting plier, diagonal cutters, and side cutting pliers. Use of these are exactly what it says, cutting wire. The plane defined by the cutting edge of the jaw intersects the joint rivet at an angle, hence the name. The edges are made to a V shape, made of tempered steel, and inductive heating and quenching are often used to harden the jaws. The slang name is dikes, kind of a portmanteau pronounced dikes, especially in the electrical industry. In the UK and Ireland, these are considered snips. In Austria and Canada, they're side cutters. The handles are commonly insulated with a dip type or shrink fit electrically insulated nut for protection against electrical shock. You'd be surprised. They were introduced in the early 1800s. They were used for cutting the fencing around cattle ranches. Wire cutters are meant for exactly that, just cutting wires, like iron, steel, aluminum, brass, copper, those kind of wires. Here's a couple different versions of snips, cutting wires, or diagonal pliers. These are my favorite. These are diagonal pliers. They also have the ridges going up and down the middle. These are what we call dikes, or your diagonal pliers. These are wire cutters, but they look like scissors. Now, this is where there's confusion. These are wire strippers. These are not actually wire cutters. As you see down the middle, you'll see there's a lot of ridges. And that's meant to put exact size gauge wire in there and strip it of its coating. Now, it's not supposed to be used for anything else, just wire stripping. You got your cutter and you got your stripper. Now, I'm going to show you a few tips and show you how to use wire cutters or diagonal pliers or dikes or whatever properly. Okay, first off, you should be wearing gloves that are meant for working with electricity. Because if you get shocked, at least the gloves will keep you from getting the real bzz of a lifetime. I've done it to the point where I've had to take off my jewelry. It hurts so bad. It is no fun. Also, anybody who works with electrical work will tell you, any job, it is mandatory you wear protective eye gear while working with electrical. Things can fly up at you, wires, and if something gets lodged in the back of your eyeball, you're not going to be happy when you have to pay that bill at the eye doctor. If you want longevity out of your pliers, it's good to keep them clean after every use. That's not easy for everybody, but some of us that can take them out and put them away and don't have to use them on a daily basis, it's recommended. And especially if you're going to keep them in a dry area, they rust and corrode very easily. So just take a little bit of oil and rub them on the tips of the blade area right here before you put them away, just so that they stay a little bit conditioned and moist and they don't get corroded or hardened easily. Now I'm going to remind you again, use diagonal cutters and wire cutters for just that. Don't try to use it to screw a bolt into a nut. Some people will make this mistake and they will regret it and they will learn the hard way. If you're going to be working with live wire, just stop for a second and go turn off the electrical to the whole entire house. Don't be a hero. Nobody wants to see you fly 5 feet in the air. Just go to your electrical box and turn off the power. It may be the one thing that saves your life today. Also, I've seen this happen with a lot of stupid people before. Do not use your teeth to strip the wire. You will chip your teeth unless you liked the eye doctor, now the dentist. What's next? Also, When cutting a wire like this, do not sit there and rock it back and forth like this. Not only are you weakening the wire in there, but if it's those thin like audio wires, what you're doing is you're stripping it and you're tearing at it, and it's causing to rip and break in a certain way that it makes it lose its strength, and it affects your good flow of current through the wire. Don't rip it apart. It's going to give it less ability to make its full capacity through the wire. Now, when they say diagonal cutters, they say diagonal cutters for a reason. Because they want you to take it. And this is what I was taught. You always take your diagonal cutters. You know, I'm not that strong either. You men out there are super strong. And so it's going to take me a few to get this cut. What you do is you push it down to the right at an angle, and you try and see. I can't do it with one hand. Oh, see, there we go. Alright. Let's try to see if I can get the other half of it. You want to always cut at an angle. Oh, there we go. And there I go. Perfect cut. No frayed ends, just perfect. Got good flowing current going through there. This is just your regular Romex wiring. It's a little tougher than normal because it's a solid thick copper, but it gets the job done. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.